What happened as far as the house goes, on Tuesday, July 5th, even in the morning, they still didn't know for sure if the house was going to close. So what I did was I was supposed to close my house here in the morning of July 5th. I had it rescheduled to 3 o'clock in the afternoon with my fingers crossed, hoping that somehow my house in Boston would sell. And sure enough, that is the miracle that came through. These two women who had trouble getting a loan ended up finding a banker who would give them a loan, apparently a fairly high interest rate, but they took it anyway. They held an emergency closing. They closed on my house. They wired the money here. We started our meeting here at 3 o'clock. We finished signing all the papers, and then we had to sit and wait for like an hour for the money to arrive. But the money did arrive, and we were actually able to close on this house on July 5th as scheduled. The whole thing went through, and really the closing was only slipped by hours. And nobody was hurt in the end. All the houses got to go through. So it was very much a miracle. And then the next thing that was supposed to happen on July 5th, because I had planned to close in the morning, is the movers were supposed to come in the afternoon. Well, what happened was the movers didn't show up. And when I called the moving company to find out where they were, they couldn't locate the driver. So I do have my house, but now my furniture is missing in action. In addition to that, I had just moved here, as you know, and my sister-in-law and my brother were at the beach. My sister-in-law comes home from the beach and announces, "You shouldn't have moved here because I'm going to divorce your brother." So it's just like, okay, the house went through, but it's still, nothing seemed to be going right. There seems to be so much happening in form, accepting that all form serves the purpose of awakening. I am eager to hear what you will share with me on everything. Let's start with my sister-in-law. She seems very angry at my brother for everything and says that she wants a divorce. Seeing that we have moved here in what seems to be the midst of family turmoil, what would you share with me regarding this situation and true purpose? Answer. All of the universe is contained within each person, and so you will see the seeming drama of the universe played out over and over in each one that you meet. Although the specifics within the drama may seem different, you will do well to remember it is all the same. This is a very important message. I remember I've referred back to this one a few times, so some of you may have heard this next paragraph before. Right now, it seems easier to recognize the sameness of ego in each one. That is because you recognize the ego most consistently within you. As you let go of the ego more and accept me as yourself, you will see more of me in everyone. Regardless of whether you seem to see ego or me, continue to recognize sameness. Sameness leads to oneness. You may also rejoice when you see sameness of ego from a detached perspective, for this is evidence that you are detaching from the world of form and all that ego would have you believe. A very important message, because as he's saying, the Course always talks about seeing, the Holy Spirit in your brother. I couldn't. And, it seemed like all around me what I was seeing was ego in everyone. And really what Holy Spirit is doing, obviously, is not judging me for that, because Holy Spirit never judges. I'm sure I was judging myself for that. The Holy Spirit is not only not judging me for that, He's telling me how to use that for awakening, how to use the fact that I can only see the ego in everyone around me. He's telling me to notice it's the same ego. Notice that everybody is driven by the same bottom line. Notice that everyone is acting out of a feeling of unworthiness. Notice that everyone is acting out of fear. Notice that everyone is acting out of a belief that they are guilty, that they are bad. Notice that everyone, even though at the level of detail they may be doing it differently, notice that everyone is acting out of the same basic ego foundation. That is sameness. And as you start to see that, then you start to see oneness and you start to awaken. So he took what I perceived as a fault and he turned it into a tool for awakening. And this is our amazing Holy Spirit. I absolutely am in love with our Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit continues. Continue to ask me about all you see. Continue to remember me in all you hear. Resist temptation to respond to the cries of the ego by remembering that you need do nothing. I am with you, even when it seems that nothing is happening in response to a problem in form. I wrote that in because that's what I understood that he meant. Trust me, and I will lead you truly. Question. What about the seeming challenges of the move? Each step within the logistics seems to display a consistent pattern. It's bumpy, and then it works out. Is this a statement about my state of mind that I should be aware of? What can I learn from this seeming pattern in form, if anything? Answer. Your mind is transitioning, and it is that transition you see displayed in form. Question. Can you tell me any more about this? Answer. Your transition will not seem to happen instantaneously. Remember this? Yes. This is something Laurent and I talked about yesterday. Your transition will not seem to happen instantaneously, although how you choose to see within each seeming instant is important to the whole. Now your mind sees and hears the ego perspective for a time, and your heartbeat may quicken with joy, if I think it's working out good, or panic based on what's happening in form. In other words, I'm reacting to the form. If what's happening in form looks good, I'm happy. But if what's happening in form looks bad, I'm unhappy. So I'm in total reaction mode. But then you remember to remember me, and you let the ego thought go, and all smooths out in peace. So I come back to that consistency. This is the pattern you see reflected in form, and you may see it as a pattern of progress. It is always helpful to see any pattern as a pattern of progress, for if you are looking at form as a symbol with me, instead of believing the form as your reality, that is progress. So again, what Holy Spirit is telling me is that, I'm panicking for a while, because I'm totally forgetting to trust the Holy Spirit. And I'm believing everything that's happening in form, and I'm fearful some disaster is going to happen. But then, even before there's a resolution, I'm remembering my purpose, I'm remembering to watch my thoughts, and I move into a peacefulness and a trust. And after I move into the peacefulness and the trust, things are working out in form. And he's saying the reason it's so bumpy, so up and down for me right now, instead of consistent, is because I'm transitioning, and I have not yet learned how to be consistent in my trust. I move back and forth between trust and fear, and so my experience moves back and forth between the effects of trust and the effects of fear. That's all that's happening, but he still wants me to see this as progress. He wants me to focus on the fact that I am remembering to trust. I may go through a time of fear, but then I always remember to trust again, and that's what he wants me to notice. Because, of course, what we focus on, as we know, expands. Question. Last night we met several of our new neighbors, and it was quick and easy as I imagined it would be. I was comfortable with the children, but less comfortable with the adults. What would you share with me about this? And what I remembered was being afraid that they were going to judge me as the neighborhood weirdo, because of A Course in Miracles and listening to the Holy Spirit and all of that kind of stuff. So that's why I was uncomfortable around them. And here's what Holy Spirit says. You are judging, and you are afraid of being judged. You accept the children more easily. You have more expectations and hopes regarding the adults. Remember that all of your expectations and hopes are of the ego, and let them go. Let go and let me. Accept form as it happens. Remember me, ask me, and listen to me. Do not seek beyond what you are given in the current moment. I'm going to read that sentence again because this is really important for us to get. Do not seek beyond what you are given in the current moment. Because, of course, if we're seeking beyond what we are given in the current moment, we're judging the current moment as not being adequate, not being good enough. He wants us to always be grateful for now. Do not seek beyond what you are given in the current moment. Always trust that the current moment is exactly as it should be, and you will feel the peace of me. And I will be at work in your life through you for our shared purpose of awakening. Next question. Is there anything that you would like to share with me in summary for me to review throughout the day today? Answer. It is all easy if you remember me. When I am on your mind, all things are as they should be within your perspective, so nothing can seem difficult or wrong. Seek only me, and you cannot be disappointed, for I am always there in everything that you see. I am smiling within your peace. All is well. Trust in me. And, of course, that last paragraph brought a lot of love into my heart. So I went back into, again, the smooth, the trust, the peace. And then what happened was they were able to locate the driver of my truck, but he was somewhere else. He wasn't in North Carolina. They said they wouldn't be able to deliver the furniture until like the next Tuesday or something. And so Jasmine and I just decided to go to the beach for 4 or 5 days, and that's what we did. We took off for the beach, had a great little vacation, and then came back the next week, and our furniture was delivered, and, you know, lived happily ever after, but of course there's still a lot of stuff that followed that, but still. It's the end of that particular story. So